Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, Humana, one of the largest insurance companies in the United States, has said they're going to exit Obamacare. And of course, this is part of the death spiral of Obamacare. Whether or not the GOP wants to repeal it, reality is repealing Obamacare. And this is a very serious issue. This is 20% of the economy that is tied up in the healthcare economy. That's 1/5 of our economy. And understand that it was Obamacare and it was immigration that got the GOP elected to Congress. That's where the Democrats lost 1,000+ seats on those two issues. And of course, they were the two key issues for Donald Trump. So what is being done about this? We understand that the mandated levels of care are so high that it's not working for end users, and it's certainly not working for insurance companies. We're going to talk about what's going on with these failed mergers of the insurance companies and the regulations that have come out, the executive orders from Donald Trump, as well as the first executive orders from Tom Price, the health secretary that just took office. But understand that in order to get this to work, they have mandated such high levels of health care that they have to hold a gun to our head to make us get it. And so that's part of what the IRS mandates are about. And because people can't afford this, they start to game the system. So they get in and out whenever they have a need. They get in, and when they don't have a need, they try to get out as soon as possible. Now, the first thing that Donald Trump did was an executive order that, quote, said, we're going to provide relief from Obamacare to individuals and insurers within the boundary of the law, because, of course, Obamacare hasn't been repealed yet. So what they did, and we just saw this happen yesterday, we saw that the IRS said that they're not going to reject silent returns. In other words, if you file an income tax return and you don't check the box and give them the information about whether or not you're enrolled in Obamacare, they're not going to immediately reject your return. Now, this is not something that's new. What was going to be new was that beginning this year, they were going to reject the return. So it's essentially enforcing the status quo. The IRS is going to step up the regulation and say, we're not even going to take your tax return if you don't give us this information to start with. And now they're saying, well, we're not going to do that. It's pretty mild at the most here, but because they can still come after you. Now, yesterday we had Tom Price put out his first proposals as health secretary. And under this proposed rule, let me read you what's happening here. People who do not receive health insurance from an employer would have 6 weeks instead of 3 months to sign up for coverage during open enrollment. So they've tightened that up. That's what the insurance companies wanted. They also said they're going to put in place stronger vetting practices to make sure that those who buy plans outside of open enrollment submit evidence to show that they did so because of major life changes such as a divorce, a move, or getting a new job. See, this is the kind of stuff that comes along with the idea that we have to have universal health insurance. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Whenever we buy into the idea that we got to mandate this stuff, now all of a sudden you've got an anti-government, you got to come to them with permission to even buy health insurance outside of these enrollment periods. So you got to prove that something major's happened in your life before you can even get in. They say it would also require that people who drop out of coverage before the year is over would pay premiums they would have accrued for the full year before they can enroll for the following year. They say currently customers who neglect to pay their premiums can continue to receive care for 90 days before an insurer drops their policy, with insurers responsible for the full cost of the first 30 days and providers shouldering the last 60 days. So this is something that has been put in by Tom Price to try to help the insurance companies who are going bankrupt, just as Donald Trump came out with an executive order, said, let's try to ease up on these new rules from the IRS. But that's not really getting to the root of the problem. Now, not only is Humana dropping out of Obamacare next year, but we also saw that a merger that was going to happen between Humana and Aetna has now been shut down. That would have created something that was too big to fail. And also there's another merger between Cigna and Anthem that looks like that's not going to happen either. That's very good news. Because understand that when we got into this mortgage situation, it wasn't just the Federal Reserve manipulating interest rates. It was the Clinton administration that created the first big merger between Nations Bank and Bank of America that created this too big to fail rush. Everybody said at the time that all the banks were going to rush to compete with that, and we wound up with about a half dozen banks that were too big to fail. That plus Glass-Steagall gave us the catastrophe. Now on the insurance side, if you start to have a few too big to fail insurance companies plus Obamacare with its mandates, that is going to be a prescription for disaster. We have to understand there's a difference between healthcare and insurance, just like there's a difference between education and schools. We have to understand that we have to separate from these institutions the services that we want to get. And when we actually don't do that, we wind up driving costs sky high, both in education and in healthcare. and our services go down. We have to think out of that box. That's why it's very important for Donald Trump to move away from the statement that he said we're going to get insurance for everybody. No, we need affordable health insurance for everybody. We need to make it affordable. And if you're going to stick mindlessly to these institutions, these boxes that we have created, that isn't going to happen for us. He needs to go back to his original proposals, and he had a market system that was going to replace mandates, was going to give us information and choice. That's what we need.
In case you haven't heard, Infowars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. Infowars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the Infowars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. Infowars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the Infowars store that are only available for Infowars Prime subscribers. That's Infowars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.